Brother Moses coming before you, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about resentment. I want to talk a little bit about resentment. What is resentment? How do you deal with it? How do you recognize it in your life? So, resentment is a root problem in a lot of people's lives. Resentment, by definition, is the bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly. So being pissed off, angry, upset when you have been treated unfairly or unjustly. Another definition is displeasure or persistent ill will at something regarded as wrong, an insult, or injury. That displeasure, that persistent ill will, you feel some type of way, right? You got a lump in your throat, your heart is beating, it feel like your blood pressure is up. In some circles, they might call it manifesting, but that displeasure, that ill will that you have in your heart. The third definition is a negative emotional reaction to being mistreated. So something like a trigger, or you're manifesting, or you're reacting in your strongholds. All of these language can point to the manifestation of a resentment, the bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly. And these resentments act like bitter roots, and they lodge themselves in your heart, and they affect the way you think, the way you see the world around you, and the way you engage with the people around you. They affect your relationships, your tone, your core values, how you interpret things, how you read into things, your discernment. Resentment can definitely affect every area of your life. It can affect your emotional health, your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, your spiritual well-being, your relational well-being, your sexual well-being. It's very important that we deal with resentments, learn how to recognize them, and the proper protocol to relieve yourself of resentments. Next thing I want to talk about is emotions or feelings that are associated with resentments. Anger is the big one. Anger, disappointment, bitterness, hard feelings, right? Hostility, uneasiness, unforgiveness. All of these feelings are tied into resentment, holding on to the wrong that's been done to you. And it boils over into all these different manifestations of emotions or feelings. Triggers. What are some of the things that would trigger resentments? Number one, relationships with people who are always right. And that would include even a relationship with the true and living God. A lot of people deal with resentments because their side is never represented. They feel they don't have value or voice because they're with someone that everything is about them and it's not about you. So it seems unfair. Number two, being taken advantage of. Number three, feeling put down a lot. So when you feel put down, these are things that can trigger resentment. Number four, unrealistic expectations. Now this one is not so much on what a person does to you, but unrealistic expectations that you have of people can cause you to, it shapes the way you interpret what people are actually doing, and something that you can deem something to be unfair because of your expectation of the person that's unrealistic and or unhealthy. Number five, not being heard or not being seen, feeling invisible, feeling like your side of the story never matters, your opinion never matters. What you have to say is never taken into consideration. That is something that can trigger deep resentment. Number six, interactions with people who are always late, they don't respect you, don't respect your time, and don't respect your contributions or the work that you actually do, can lead to resentment as well. It seems like the relationship is lopsided, where one person is honored and valued and the other one isn't, which seems unfair, what brings about feelings of resentment. Okay, I want to talk about signs. Signs. These are some signs, some signs that can help you recognize if what you're dealing with is actually in a resentment. Number one, unforgiveness. If you're holding on to how you were treated and you felt you were treated unfair, obviously unforgiveness is a major sign that you're doing that. reoccurring negative feelings, right? So that ill feeling and that ill emotion that you feel and it's consistent, it's persistent, nothing takes it away, it's very possible is because you have a deep-seated resentment that you need to deal with. Number 3, inability to stop thinking about it. It's always on your mind. It's always in the forefront of your conscious. Can't sleep. You're troubled over it. Inability to stop thinking about it. Number 4, regret and remorse. Also, self-blame can be signs that you are dealing with a resentment. And number 5, fear and avoidance. I mean, if someone has treated you unfairly, if they put you down, you're in a relationship with someone that they're always right and your word never matters and you feel invisible, then you'll try to avoid these people at all costs. And a lot of times we consider that to be a type of wisdom. And in some situations, it is a type of wisdom, but it could be a telltale sign that you have some resentments within your heart that you actually need to confront and deal with. Some other signs: tensions in your relationships, holding grudges. Holding grudges is a sign. Insecurities, where you feel invisible and inadequate and you feel like you no longer matter. And inability to let go of anger. Inability to let go of anger or the unwillingness to let go of anger can also be signs. A lot of fear comes with resentment, how people are going to view you, how people are going to judge you, shame. A lot of things come with resentment, and it becomes a very bitter root in your life that affects you spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, relationally. It definitely causes a sickness within your life. It's like a type of poison. We have to have a way to remedy these things.